Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to Don't Pick Friday. Friday. Don't Pick Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a catchy tune, by the way. I compliment the.
When its inception
That was
happened, the first time I heard it.
Squaxamonophone. I haven't seen actually.
Where
actually,
are they?
Yeah, I haven't seen Squaxamonophone around in a little while. I don't know where they're. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's listening to us talk in the background?
Well, the app, the YouTube app, believes when you're waiting for a show and you're muted that it has to turn it on to full volume.
Yeah, YouTube's got some. Yeah. I was watching Louis Rossmann today. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's like the right to repair guy. He does like a lot of like.
Oh yes.
Yeah, he's done his own businesses and stuff now, but also I shouldn't say but also does that. And he's like just sitting there being like, listen, YouTube's got some problems, and he's getting, I guess he's really frustrated about this and with Amazon and stuff, because everything, paying more, the more he finds that he pays for something, the worse quality he gets. So like he pays for YouTube Premium, then downloads something so he can watch it on his phone when he's away from the internet, then the app tells him that he needs to connect to the internet to be able to watch the thing that he downloaded. Or he goes on Netflix and he pays for Netflix and he can't get high def. So he's like, I could get better quality if I pirate it. Stop giving me shit for what I'm paying for.
Yes.
So for YouTube Premium, you don't need to be connected to an internet.
He does in America. He does in America.
It's America, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in New Zealand.
And so those folks. Oh, I guess we're starting.
Hey, surprise! Welcome back to the Debate Hub. Where are we? It's Volcano Day.
Surprise, motherfuckers!
Yeah.
Psych!
Yeah.
Psych!
It is, I guess it is also, it is normally DFF, but we're doing a different sort of, D. We're doing,
Welcome to D's Nuts!
Anyway, but yes, I hope people are doing well, and they're having and Maanyaa is singing.
Yeah, happy weekend.
In a singing mood.
Happy weekend, everybody.
For stuff, but we had an extended delay in part because I was off doing other things, including an eclipse.
Yeah.
And in fact, if I could be so bold, so I have my mug for the day. It's Dilbert, and this is the
Dilbert.
Get it.
Yo, that guy. Speaking of people who went downhill, good Dilbert.
Yeah. Oh. Where is it? Okay, there it is. And so
I used to love those strip comics. I used to love them.
It says security. In fact, this is Murdoch, the preventer of information services. Security is more important than usability, right? And he says, in a perfect world, no one would be able to use anything. Be secure. and then as a reference, this was also, so this was one of the comics that was done for me, where Ashok is here. He's trying to log in.
Side. Oh, hold on. Let me get this a little bit better for everybody, because this is terrible.
Okay, so we'll start off.
I'm doing a bad job. There you go.
There we go.
There's
Beautiful.
The bit there for security is more important than usability. In a perfect world, no one would be able to use anything. And Ashok is there, and Ashok is told, he's trying to say, to complete your login procedure, stare directly at the sun.
Hey.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. So our company has decided to give us this facility where you can stare into the camera and it will let you log in. But how many times it has failed? Maybe because I have got very different features, than the rest of the, fucking Europe and America. And how many times it's given up on me and told me to either enter password or PIN code. Yeah, I want to chuck my laptop out sometimes right under a forklift, driving by, or a truck driving by, just like.
So in the conversation where I was talking about total solar eclipses and the fact that you can stare directly at the sun's corona, but not the surface of the sun. So
Corona?
Sun got coronavirus. Oh my god, no.
No, it's just drunk.
So I will show you, first of all, a friend of mine to illustrate what happened. Gabe sent me this picture.
This is Oreos.
Oreos, so where it's first contact and it gets to total, and then back the other way. So it's a cycle of the.
This is the kind of eclipse I will watch all day long. And then
I won't. I'm gonna eat all those cookies. Yeah, they ain't gonna last that long.
Yes, Puck would not let this rest.
No. Sun will be running for his life.
To show you what we got to look at for 4 minutes 25.1 seconds in Texas. This was one of our first images.
Ooh.
Where the moon's covering the sun. This little solar flare down here was actually we saw in the partial phases that sunspot group on the edge and hoped it would do something nice, and it definitely was. This is a solar flare.
Oh god, Jesh. Oh, no.
I'm sorry. It's a really good picture.
But that's apt. I mean, if he made it a little bit smaller. But this little solar flare here, so it's emissions coming out from behind the sun.
Yeah.
It's about 3 times the size of the Earth. This particular thing. You can watch it. We can actually watch this thing turn over.
Here, tiny moon for scale.
Yes.
Nice.
The other.
That's
I made him so small he got big again.
Oh no! He's
All
like,
right,
you cannot ignore me.
Like 1 pixel big.
Right.
Yeah. The other, and I guess you guys get these other nice promises. As the moon moved across the sun, we saw different prominences out here. So this is where that particular prominence was setting, because the moon is basically traveling in essentially this direction, right? From the upper left to lower right. And so we got to see these nice solar flares. If I can see this little faint little arc out here, and it's jumping there. So and I could tell, when pictures that people took up next to Canada, these things had evolved quite a bit. So you can sort of tell where a picture was during the eclipse. Now but by how these things evolve, but you can watch them. You can watch them real time doing this nice dance. It was great to see we had about over 30 seconds of watching the shadow rush towards us, and on the way out, we had clouds to our south west, and so when daylight hit those clouds, the clouds just sort of lit up, and so as the shadow left and daylight rushed at us, we had a really nice sort of sunrise, but it was not a small point on with dawn. It was the entire southwest sky just lighting up in a nice dramatic fashion.
We have a question from the chat that maybe Landon can answer from Smitty. It says, if solar eclipse evolved, then how do we still have monkeys?
Because we have people like Ken Ham and Kent Hovind.
I found a video of Ken Ham dunking on William Lane Craig, and I thought that was really funny. It was just silly. I also found another one for streams later. I can't remember what it's called. I'll pull it up. Keep going.
So next eclipse is edge of Greenland, far western edge of Iceland, and Spain to Catalonia. The country that
Ken Ham was mad at Joe Rogan. Yeah.
Why?
I haven't watched the video yet.
So you might say, why does that do? Well, these are. I mean, I wouldn't. They're technically not volcanoes, but there are eruptions off the sun. Sunspot groups sending out huge blocks of plasma, lots of mass, and really big. So you might think of those as solar eruptions. and appropriate for the mug. But volcanoes. So as people are aware,
let's go.
We talk about volcanoes. There's lots of volcanoes, and lots of volcanoes are active. Currently, about 48 continue to erupt. With volcanoes that are erupting. And we've had 51, but of those, about 3 of them have stopped this year. And if you look at where, we actually have 33 where there's significant lava coming out. So if we look, these red spots here are the ones where you have really good lava stuff happening. And we have Stromboli, which is almost continuously erupting. It's there in the Mediterranean. In Italy, Iceland has a really spectacular volcano that's been going on in the southwest corner. Africa and Indian Ocean, there's skin that continues. Ethiopian one that's been running. There's a barren island, which is barren because it's quite volcanic, has been going, and there's 2 in the DR Congo. Indonesia now has stepped up its game, and there are 9 volcanoes in Indonesia that are pumping out lava. So it remember it was like 6 or 7, and it's now up to 9. So it's doing pretty well. We did have an event in the Aleutian Islands, the Great Sitkan volcano, where it had a little bit of a lava intrusion, but it wasn't really much of an eruption. So it's now in the watch area. And of course, in our down south of Canada and now south of the United States, we have the Central Mexico one, which is going there, the 2 in Guatemala and the 1 in Nicaragua. South America has got its pair from Ecuador, 1 in Peru, and 1 in central Chile. This is a nice, if you're flying from Santiago to Punta Arenas, that's the southern Magellan Strait area. This is a really nice one. You buy if you're on the correct side of the airplane, you can see it. Other regions, we have the South Sandwich Islands, and we also have Mount Erebus, the large, our largest lava lake in the world in Antarctica. Actually, it's the island off the coast of Antarctica.
Yahoo!
And of course, we also have Galapagos Islands. There's one there. Santa Cruz, Vanuatu is another one that's going on. And then, of course, in the islands, the Philippines, this Ring of Fire, we have Kamchatka, we have Central Kamchatka, we have Kuril Islands, we have the one in Japan that's been going on. That's been going on for a while. And there's also another one in Japan that's been going on, just started. So we have lots of volcanoes. Volcanoes are a very common thing. Now, if we look at the one here in going on, this is the live view of the one in Iceland in the southwest corner, and you kind of have to look here. You can see little bits of lava that kind of come up. It was more active this morning. There's a little bit of stuff. It's built up a pretty big cone around it, so it's harder to see inside it. And it's not advisable to go up to the edge.
You can kind of see a little bit of it. I might be able to zoom it in a little bit better for people. Give me 1 second. Let's see what I can do here. This might mess up. It might mess up a bunch of stuff, but No.
I can see it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I can see it. Yes. Yes.
So it actually is doing a pretty big job, but the problem is it's built up this mound around it of splatter stuff. See how that splatter went up way up here. Other one over there. There we go. Oops. It's doing the bloop bloops. And it's blooping. It sort of this yes. Not booping, blooping.
Looping.
So anyway.
Very cool.
So you can watch that live. So there was a question that was asked. Someone asked is that why can't we stick waste or bury waste in volcanoes?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. That was a question for a while ago.
That's sort of thing like saying, hey, you got this molten stuff, you can pour stuff in there, and get rid of it. Burn it up and blah blah. Well, there's a couple of problems with doing that. One of them is that volcanoes, even volcanoes as hot as Hawaii has one of the highest temperatures of lava. The Hawaiian volcanoes, even there, they're in only like maybe in the 1400 Celsius, around 2000 Fahrenheit range, and there's lots of materials, metals, so forth, whose melting and boiling point is well above that. So lava is not going to melt everything.
Right.
Then another thing is that getting stuff into the volcano is hazardous, right? Approaching like this, coming up here and saying we're going to
airdrop it.
Getting up in there or over it is a really bad idea.
Yeah.
Another thing is that the lava as it comes out cools, so it's not. You really would want to have to put it into a lava like this kind of vent. It would just sort of like throw it up on the side. Go ahead.
It might just end up blocking the whole vent, doesn't it? The garbage at the end of it, because the lava cannot come out.
You'd have to put a lot in, so maybe eventually, but I feel like what's probably going to happen is you're just going to get hit with a whole lot of backsplash of hot garbage.
Yes. I mean, we see what happens, we watch what happens when Kilauea is actively erupting, when rocks would slide into the vent and it would go boom, right? What
happens when you take a dump in an already on fire dumpster? It's a backsplash of hot garbage.
Uh-oh.
Yes. And of course, the other thing you might have as well is that so throwing things into the lava, the top of the lava has developed a sheen, a layer that kind of traps gas underneath it. And when you break that layer, you get sort of explosive eruptions. So it'd be, even if you could drop it from high up over the pit, it would cause significant explosions, which would send what you're not into the lava to melt, even though
and Athens
don't melt at that level.
Athens makes a good point too and says the lava isn't a liquid like water is, it's more dense, so nothing would sink, so the garbage would be floating, and whatever's in the trash will cause those chemicals to get out into the air and be toxic.
It's well put, very, very well put. The Athens 619. Also, another thing is that the gases coming out of these vents are hazardous to the people throwing in there. And finally, some cultures would consider it rude to throw garbage into a place that they consider to be sacred or important.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. What do they think? What do Madam Pele will think when people start dumping garbage on her, and she will be like, "Excuse me, excuse me."
Yeah.
How, like, she won't even say "How dare you." She's like, "Okay."
Oh, I see how it is. Conversation over. Noted.
Yeah. No.
Bitch.
But when I have been in Hawaii, when people have offered offerings to Pele, there's a process. Part of that process is that they sample the materials. So they will actually, they will consume part of it in front of Pele, offer to other people, basically to show Pele they're sharing. They're breaking bread. They are sharing a meal with Pele, and they eat it as well to show that it's good. They share, right? It's about sharing, not about tossing something into a volcanic pit. So that process
Madam
of sharing
Pele
is not considered honorable if you just throw garbage at your guests.
Madam Pele is not a third world country where the first world country end up dumping their garbage because they can't deal with their own garbage. So
Yes.
Respect the madam, please. Thank you very much.
Yes. And that's a particular lesson to the former United Kingdom. Anyway, that's politics. Never mind.
No politics today, Landon. No.
That's for the other show that we all do together along with Dapper that happens at the end of the month.
By the way, did you see there was a bird that flew by there? There's not much There's not much in the way of gas
Upwards
coming out of Pele at the moment.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
So the rates are about, you know, we're about 50 per day, really tiny. But the big thing is lots of earthquakes. There are lots and lots of earthquakes that are going on in this area. And if you look at the thing, about more than 600 earthquakes have occurred at this Kiowa summit in the 6 days since April 27th. And they've ranged, they're shallow. Most of them have been, you know, smaller than magnitude 2, depth of 2 to 4 kilometers. Largest was a magnitude 3. And yeah, lots of earthquakes. And I'll come back to the section of what we can expect here, but let's look at the deforming tilt meters. So
Zoom us in, Landon.
This is the micro. Whoops.
Oh, where did we go? Help! I'm lost. Hey, there we go. Notes.
So this is a microradians.
Spank you.
And if you have a 1 kilometer bar and you lift it up 1 millimeter, that's about the thickness of an American dime. It will tilt 1 microradian. And we can see on a daily thing, it's not. There's lots of earthquakes, like this little thing here is wiggling due to bigger earthquakes. But on the week, we see these deflation and inflation events. See here, it deflates, and then it inflates, and then deflates and inflates. They have this sort of downward sloping bottom out, and then it inverts and has an upward decelerating to a peak. And so this represents. Go ahead.
Is it me, or the crest and troughs, they've become more, the frequency has decreased, if I'm not wrong, overall? Like,
I mean, certainly it's not to the level that an active eruption occurs. I'm sorry.
They've become really, really expanded, if I might dare say. Like, the wavelength has gone.
Yeah.
You know.
But the amount is, you know, 2 or 3 microradians is it big for this is the normal during an eruption. This is normally you would see there. So they're much taller. And in fact, if we go, this is the week. So we're going from the 27th to there with these down spikes being various earthquakes, larger earthquakes showing up. If we look at the month, we see that we've entered into a phase where we have these DI events occurring, you know, every couple of days. They're fairly big in terms of the amount of material, and so it is definitely the magma chamber. Again, this represents the magma chamber is active, but the gases are being pushed not to the surface because we don't detect them at the surface. They're being injected into tubes underground. And if we look at the distance across the caldera, the stretch thing, right? And remember, these represent eruptions. If you look here, we've kind of flattened out this thing since perhaps late April. It's sort of flat, right?
Yeah, it's plateauing a little bit.
Yeah. This is the length of the caldera. These are in tenths of meters, so 10 centimeter increments here. It's pretty much about the same as if the drum of the top of the caldera has basically stretched tight and is not giving. Now it's difficult to say, well, then does that mean eruptions? Well, no, because you look at when this eruption occurred, you had basically an increasing spot. It's only sort of the when the eruption starts, does it go way up and then drop down? This, however, was an intrusion. This remember the magma took a journey down the southwest spine.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a drop of that magma moving, but it's regained that area. And again, the magma chambers under there are fairly active. not active as a eruption, and certainly the gases aren't coming to the surface. But this is definitely an active volcano that could erupt and will likely erupt in the future. If you look at the 5-year thing again, we see these larger eruptions. We see the magma movement, and then we see it sort of blowing out. So that's what it looks like from the tiltmeter point of view. We look at earthquakes.
So
We have.
it almost looks like
Go
it's
ahead.
at the same level where it was last time before the eruption happened, if I'm not wrong. Isn't
You're
it?
talking about
Profile
in
looks like-
this area here.
Yeah. Almost reaching the
Yes.
same,
Well,
Getting there.
plateauing almost the same
Well, this-
way like it did last time.
this could have been an eruption, but instead we saw the magma filling tubes going down the southwest
It
spine. So
moved-
this
yeah,
was
it
not an
moved.
eruption. This was that
Okay.
movement
Okay, my bad.
with all
Sorry.
those earthquakes. But
Okay,
you're on the larger scale, you could say, well, we had eruption here, eruption here, eruption here. If we saw the 10-year thing, we'd see the collapse of the summit would drop way down. So oftentimes when an eruption occurs, it spikes. It's basically the magma is reaching the surface. There's very little rock to keep it, hold it back, and so the rock will deform significantly as the magma is reaching the surface. We don't get much warning there, and then as the blast of the eruption starts, it sags back down. But this is a different spot. This was the magma movement. As to where it is, I mean, given that it erupted here really good, and here really good, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here, it's hard to say that a wider caldera is necessarily a sign of eruption occurring. You could say right here, it was flat for a long time here after the eruption, but then it started coming up again. So it's hard to say.
Ma'am, what are you up
so back
to?
to earthquake. Yeah.
Madam, what
So
are you
here
up to,
is-
Madam Pele?
Here is the caldera, right?
Yep.
In this region here, there's the caldera. This is Halimamau pit, and here's the southwest spine, and here is the east rift zone. This is a 1 kilometer block down here, and we can see that most of the earthquakes are sitting here. There's about, this is since the last 7 days, there's about almost 467, almost 500 earthquakes in this zone. If we look at just the day, we see that there is, the most recent stuff has been almost exclusively in this East Rift Zone. And East Rift Zone, there are a couple of pit craters here, so it's not really gone into the deep channels towards Pu'uo, which is much farther away. Because if we start zooming out, this is where Pu'uo was, and the big flows down here for the 35 and a half year great eruption. That was the pit with stuff flowed up this way, and eventually went out and flowed up this way. This is much closer to the summit, and is in an area where there's some nice pit craters from previous eruptions. Almost nothing in the southwest zone, right? This is almost silent.
Yeah.
7 days are a few things, but this is more like settling of stuff. So lots of quakes. When we look at the actual map, so here's a map showing us the unrest between April 27th and yesterday. Every one of these yellow circles is an earthquake.
Yep.
And we can see how it really is piled into this East Rift Zone. There's a little bit going into the south area.
What is the purple in the bottom right that we're looking at?
This over here.
Yeah.
These are old lava flows. So the purple is
Okay.
1790 to 2018 lava flows.
Gotcha.
Right? This color here was the post 2018 lava flows in the Halimamau lava pit. So purple was where lava things occurred in sort of since the 1790 summit collapse. And we can see there's a great pile of. Remember when we had in February we had this kind of zone in here, but it was heading down the southwest risk zone. This is heading towards east.
Interesting.
And again, about 1,600 earthquakes. There's about 1,600 circles here. Now, some of these circles farther off are again due to the fact that the rock has been pushed, and so it's creaking and cracking and settling.
God dang.
Yeah, 1,600 earthquakes.
Yeah,
that's a lot of earthquakes.
Don't the locals?
It's a fucking paint shaker.
Don't the locals get like desensitized to the earthquakes, like the frequency at which they happen? Like they're just like, was that? Nah.
To be fair, these magnitude 2s, a magnitude 2 quake, if you were sitting patiently in a chair, paying attention, you might feel it go rumble.
But they're shallower, aren't they? So they should.
Yeah.
So
they're not big, but they can be felt if you're paying attention. If you're not paying attention and you're kind of desensitized to it, you're probably not gonna notice too much. Yeah. Or if you were like maybe in a really tall, or if you're in like a really tall building, so you need to be a little bit careful. But like the same way, like thunderstorm can rattle like your window, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had an earthquake recently, and my whole office shook. So it was a 3.3 earthquake, 10 kilometers from where I
Maanyaa lives in a very wiggly island.
Sar said, "I thought the purple bits of the map was a part of a piece of the dead grimace. There's no such thing as a dead grimace. Nothing can stop the grimace."
So if you look at the magnitude, the quakes that are 2.5 or bigger over the past week, there's only 17 here. And if you ask about the last day, there have been only 7 that are 2.5 or bigger in this area. So
7's still high, but not that high.
I mean, seven earthquakes in the 2.5. So you look at these magnitudes. There's a 2.5. There's a 3.1. So you could probably feel that. That'd be a little bit of rumbly bits. 2.9, 3.0. That's you could feel it. But if you were driving in a car and this 3.0, 3.1 went off, you might not notice the car. It's out there. So it's good. You get little wigglies there. I think it's nothing to be afraid of. The thing is probably more the hazard in this region. You can see these pits here, those little dimples. There's all kinds of cracks and so forth. And if it's that many earthquakes and the is deforming, you better believe that there's a risk that all of a sudden you get an eruption.
Sorry, is the ground going up and down a bit? Is it expanding and retracting, or are these like deeper earthquakes? What's that?
These are fairly shallow, right? 1.2 kilometers, 1.4 kilometers, 1.7 kilometers, near almost the surface, 0.2, 2.4. So these are fairly shallow quakes, right? And this is just today. This was just a few minutes ago. First stuff, so you can see these are ongoing, and so the tilt meters are showing there. So they put cameras and gas sensors in this region to see if they can detect the possible beginning of an eruption. Being in this area, the problem is that if you're approaching from this area, like you're hiking in this, you're going along this trail, because there's a drive you can go down to Chain of Craters Road, and as you're going through this area, you could get if all of a sudden the ground breaks open and lava starts flowing out, you could be in trouble. So then you're probably much more hazard for a potential eruption. Will it erupt? Well, we'll talk about it in just a moment. But again, lots of quakes. And you can see these purple areas and faults have been places where eruptions had occurred before in recent history.
Just to answer Katina saying that they were feeling shaking where they're at in Oahu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Oahu, thank you. I did just check earthquaketrack.com. And it does say that there was a small earthquake, 1.5, in the past couple of hours, last 24
Yeah,
hours, I
you'd have to
think.
be really sensitive and paying attention and not to get down to that low.
Yeah,
Obviously.
or maybe like you just happen to be paying attention at that one time, right? That's the
Yeah.
website
Yeah.
if you're interested, if you want to check it out. But it doesn't look like it was something that was newsworthy, but it is something that happened.
And from this zone here, if we zoom way out, here's a big island and Oahu's over here. So and so we come to the spot over here. Do. Whoops, I lost it. And I'm not seeing. Oh, all magnitudes.
Yep. Maybe 1.5 is too small.
Oh, I'm sorry. All magnitudes here. I'm not seeing. It hasn't been really well. If it's recent, it hasn't
Technology
been
work,
up yet.
for fuck's sake.
It might not be
it
updated
hasn't-
yet.
It hasn't been updated yet. If that recent.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's happening right now is with all these earthquakes, there's been a time to go and do maintenance. So my colleagues is there to maintain one of the cameras. This is this camera here.
A memo goes
that
out.
Has
Yeah.
a tilt and
A
pan
memo
meter.
goes out with saying like the volcanic networks are down at the moment for like what do you say, for servicing, please bear with us. And Madam Pele is like, yeah, I'm gonna stay. Like all the network connections
Yeah.
are down. Everyone, yo. I just imagine that for
They
some
did-
reason. I don't know why.
They did announce
Pele's
a
a
maintenance
girl
on
boss.
the live stream of the Summit camera. So
Yeah.
so they said, hey, we're going to be taking the cameras offline because we're doing servicing and so forth, cleaning as well as calibrating stuff and making sure the networks or connections are there. So you can see how they use a Surveyor's tripod to put the camera on that actually can pan around and zoom in, and then this equipment to give it power as well as communications. Here's the camera itself. There's a nice tilt and zoom thing here.
I
You
almost
can
imagine
see
a crow sitting instead of in front of it for some reason, like a crow sticking its neck down there and just looking at it.
Yeah.
For some reason. Sorry guys, I'm in a
This is-
funny mood today.
It has to be
Really?
the emu. Oh, what's his name? Not Elliot.
Man.
No,
Man.
there was one that got sick. He's better now, but oh, what was his name?
Oh, god damn it!
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, but there was
Oh, I wanna
someone
look
who
it
like dubbed him, and they were like, "Oh, Man's here," so they call him Emmanuel.
Emmanuel. Yeah, Emmanuel the emu.
Yes.
There you go. We got it. Just sticking his head right into that camera.
And
Absolutely.
someone dubbed for him. You know those voiceovers that people do for animals, and one
Yeah.
of them was like, "Oh, Man here."
Welcome to my stream.
So,
Go on.
so here we're looking at the Halimau lava pit, now crusted over.
Yeah.
Looking towards the east. This was the area where surprising that the last eruption where it started off on the edge and flowed down into the pit. The previous one was over here, heading off southwest zone. So this is a camera that allows them to go and point around. So what the volcano people will do is they have various spots that they want to monitor, and they have the camera zoom into those spots on an automatic basis based upon activity going on in there, in case something actually happens. They also moved into a spot where the ground over here is a little bit more stable. They didn't want one of the earthquakes knocking it over because these are fairly expensive cameras.
Yeah.
But Pele does require camera sacrifices, so this particular camera's life is definitely limited. Question is how long. There's another.
So how much budget do you allocate, like maybe every month for the cameras or something like that? How much do you spend, Landon?
Well,
Please tell us on the cameras.
You don't You don't, when it's not erupting, you're not doing much in the way, there's not really cameras failing other than just environmental problems. Um,
Yeah.
when the level starts going up and you get the acid, you start having equipment problems. But frequently, the camera works. It's like you could tell with this previous in this previous system, the on that previous thing over here. Where is it over here? Let's go back. You can tell for this thing here. This camera is relatively well shielded and protected. The optics are inside. It would probably be more hazard. The more hazardous stuff is this equipment out here that has that can get impacted by the acid. But you tend to put more sensitive electronics inside Pelican cases with holes in them. We use Cat6 Ethernet because the shielding that you need. Not that this is a high speed image source, but the shielding
it's more durable,
that comes
isn't
along helps thermally protect it. Yeah, it's more durable.
Yeah.
And here's what you're seeing here. This thing here is a solar panel. It's heading towards south area, so get a little bit of solar panel area. So it has inside here batteries for nighttime use. So that's been part of the maintenance stuff. Anyway, this is another area here where you see this was the camera shot of the second to last eruption, where remember it came on the side and poured into this area, whereas the other one goes? It went away.
It's gone. Gone forever. Grew legs.
Quality work.
This area here. This is the central area where this was where Gilligan's Island used to be an island, and now of course it's all locked into there.
Yep.
You see, so the down drop block.
Goodbye, Gilligan's Island. We salute you. 07's in the chat, please. 07's in the chat, please. Thank you very much.
Oh, no. They will be back. I'll be back. Yeah, they'll be back. I have full faith in them.
Some pictures there. So we have a number of webcams. So here is one of the latest ones.
Before we go too far into the webcams, we have a question from the chat that I just want to make sure that we get to. And it's Katina saying, I don't know if this has been answered before. Could pressure be relieved on a volcano to make it less catastrophic if an eruption is imminent?
The problem, so you're talking about tapping into the pressure area in order to try to start an eruption. And there's several difficulties in doing that. First of all, in an eruption, if eruption is imminent, then first of all, you have gases coming out that are quite acidic and noxious.
You can't get
second
near
thing
it.
is you've got earthquakes. And then the problem of drilling into magma, right? It's worse than trying drilling deep into the earth. You will quickly find that your drilling material will start to fail because of high temperatures.
I think the short answer is that it theoretically is possible, but not with current ways of doing things in technology, and because there's not really a reason to change that. Like, it's just easier and more pragmatic to just move people out of the way. That's just
you're tapping into a weak area.
Yeah.
Right? That's going to break anyway.
Well, even if you were to break on another side, right? So, like, if it's going to erupt here and you're worried it's going to go out that side and you don't want it to go out that side, you want to break it on this side, you would have to go all the way through to this other side and then get it to go that way. And so, not only do we not know volcanoes well enough to know when an eruption is going to be that imminent a lot of the time, because that would still take a long period of time to even do. Second, like I said earlier, and what Landon was saying, trying to drill through that, your drilling equipment's not going to be able to handle it. As well as, it's just more pragmatic to move people. It's just like it's less costly. It's easier practically to do. Like, I just don't think that's something that people are going to invest in.
people are easier to control than a volcano.
Is it fair?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a way to put it.
Yes. Yes. And I think as
Risk
well
management.
it's quite hazardous to go into an area where an eruption is very likely. I mean, who's going to be wanting to drill in that area? And then when an eruption does occur, how do you get out of it in fast enough? It really is.
Well, and even if you were going to
really
use
is not
robots, like man-made robots, you'd have to have robots inside of a casing that they're like the insides of that robot aren't going to like get shot immediately and be able to withstand not just the heat but also the rough terrain and earthquakes. All the like we have an easier time putting shit to explore space than we do trying to do that.
Well said. Maanyaa as well. I mean, I think of from an emergent standpoint,
Yeah.
what it'd be like to say, hey, we're going to try and cause an earthquake over here, and you don't know if, assuming you start the eruption, that's going to start anyway. Are you going to, is the lava going to go places that you don't want it to go?
Yeah, because you don't know what's happening underground, not exactly, right? You can come up with guesses and estimates depending on the number of earthquakes, how shallow they are, how deep they are. You can get a basic, idea of what the underneath, the crust looks like, right? So, but you don't know whatever you're going to do superficially, how it's going to affect the whole, structure and the whole system of the volcano. You never know. So it's easier to control people. And also during emergencies, we say, leave your shit behind, just get out of the way. Don't try and save anyone. Just get out of the way. Just make yourself safe, because then it's one less person that the emergency services have to worry about. So yeah, in short, people are more manageable, surprisingly, than a volcano.
Some people are. Others are lost cause.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a political comment. I'll say in terms of gas stuff, these they have lots of gas sensors around here because people that have sensitive respiratory systems, very young children, people that are pregnant, as well as people that have asthma and so forth. These are people that you worry about, and if you were to tap into an area and start excessive gas venting, you're creating, even though it's not erupting, you're creating potential hazards for other people. So one of the things they do in this area, the Park Service and so forth, is they have all these gas monitors that they actively go on, and people have alerts that are there that have sensitivities. They have alerts on phones, basically say, hey, the gas levels are rising, and there's various things you can do, so just get indoors, put on gas masks, that sort of thing. But you can see right now everything is green. There's much in the way of gas, although they're monitoring it, and it's likely that just before the magma turns into lava and hits the surface, they'll see a uptick in gas coming out. Right now you can tell, this is very typical tropical, a 94% humidity. So
you could probably
having
zoom
a
this
gas mask on.
Zoom this one in for us a little bit.
Okay.
Louise. Thank you.
All right. So here's the caldera. Top of the caldera. Here is the Holy Mount crater. You can see from there's other mass gas units farther down the road. Some of these are offline. Part was the maintenance there because again, when the magma is shifting, they're taking the time to maintain stuff, get stuff now, because if an eruption were to occur, remember all the earthquakes, the piles of earthquakes we're seeing in this area, eruption were to occur, you'd want these things to be giving you data. So now is the time to get your stuff going forward. Let's look at the live webcam, and see what happens. We are having, surprisingly enough, rain in Hawaii. So some of these might not be there. Yes. So this is a live picture. Looking.
Shit. It's Silent Hill.
Looking. So this is that region where the earthquakes are occurring.
Silent Hill.
Ooh.
Right. And it's sort of foggy. Foggy.
Is that
late?
Is that due to the water vapor and the sulfuric sulfur dioxide,
Yeah, well, this is all vapor. There's no you saw from the gas things here. There's no gas fumes, right?
Yeah, there's no
From
warnings
stuff.
there.
These are very
It's all good to go right now.
How low are
so
the gas
this is
fumes again?
just
Sorry.
they're all down into they're to minimal or low, very very low, almost undetectable. And it's only about
Huh?
there's only about 50 tons per day in the whole region anyway. So
Yeah, there's nothing coming
it's
out
not,
right now, Maanyaa.
Last time it was
Yeah.
around 75 tons when it went that low. It's like lower than that. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Madam
it's
Pele,
just sort
what
of
are
like
you up to?
Taking a nap.
well, often to a lot because it
Rolling
comes
over.
back to the business of this stuff here. She's up to a lot of stuff. There's a lot of this is a certain amount of magma moving in that zone, but we now have a camera in this region looking out there, watching to see is something going to happen, right? And we can see that this stuff hasn't had eruptions in that region since.
Yeah.
If we go back to here, since about 1974, 1973, 73, 74.
Yeah.
And you can see that in the roughly 50 years, there's plants and shrubs are now in this area, so it has recovered back from the days of when this was a
I need to take
really
a
exciting place.
I need to take a quick moment just to boo this joke. Hawkskull from the chat said the photographer tried to get a picture of the volcano, but they missed.
Oh
Boo!
Oh dear!
Ooh.
Oh dear! So
Waka
this is a new
waka.
region there. We're looking. You can actually see there's a row of trees, a little forest area over here. One of those zones.
Is that what that
I
is?
believe. There's some forest stuff in this area that hasn't been hit by lava in a while.
Yep.
So anyway, that's if we get an eruption or it breaks through the surface in that region, we might see something here. Let's look at another spot. So we also watch Mauna Loa, the big mountain, and so this is on the wrist, the spine of the big mountain, where Kilauea is off to the side. Let's look at what's happening here. So it's another one of the Mauna Loa spots that they watched. This was the area. Remember when Mauna Loa was erupting and it was heading down to the south? This is the region where they were watching the flows occur.
Okay.
Off over farther yonder. And we look at here is a southwest zone. So this was where we thought Madam Pele might be getting ready to have a rift eruption. Remember that in February, all those earthquakes going down the southwest zone. There's the camera put here to see if she's doing anything, and so far, we look at the live thing. There's nothing there. So here, of course, is where the classic views of the southwest rift zone and down drop block from the Halemaumau crater. And this one, I believe, was the thing, this historic thing, but this is the...
Yeah, when that eruption happened. Yeah.
Oh, but that's okay. I guess the
it's still offline.
Camera is,
it's the maintenance.
Camera's off. Offline. But that's another time to do it.
Maintenance.
From here we look. This is the big looking up the slope of Mauna Loa from Kilauea. Mauna Loa's the top is way up in here in clouds. There's really nice forest areas here. There's actually nice wineries in this region, and the Kona coffee is around the other side.
This is the part of the show where Landon advocates and advertises for tourism in in the area.
Yes,
so
I mean you're ready to.
The scale is. So the scale is so large, you can actually mistake all that greenery as moss. No.
Yes.
They are trees there, motherfuckers. Those are trees.
Yeah,
like,
this is
that's a forest. You're welcome.
Many kilometers wide zone there. It's a huge area. Here's on the top of Mauna Loa, looking down northeast, and one of the things. This here's Mauna Kea, the other big the other big mountain with those telescopes? But you can see the telescopes right there, little dots.
I believe I can
This is up on the summit of that area. Let's see what other ones. We have the caldera views. So let's look at their obviously. Oh, this is this. That's the camera we saw that points and shoots right now.
Yeah.
It's but it's wet. It's raining, so it'll dry off.
It's
I would
raining.
love to be sponsored by a Hawaiian winery. Are you kidding me? That'd be amazing.
Yeah, right?
Can't
This
be
was the
me.
old
Definitely not
Pu'o.
this channel.
The old Pu'o vent that where the 35-year eruption, most of it was coming out. But that's been there for a while. Its clock is off.
You gotta get a geologist on one day to analyze them rocks.
Yes. And I guess we have another cam over here, but I believe this one, this one's active. Oh, look at this nice rainbow here.
Oh,
See?
that's so cute.
Nice little.
Well,
Hawaii
let's
has
go
lots
at
of
the end of it.
rainbows.
Should I go down there and explore? Maybe not. Maybe not.
It's so you can see why the other cameras are all wet over there, because it's kind of
Places
foggy,
I'd
rainy,
rather
and there's a nice,
GoFundMe for than Kansas.
Yes, let's
I
send,
did not see that
let's
coming.
send, let's look at other cameras here for stuff we can see. Here is up at the this is up high up on Mauna Loa, looking again towards Kilauea and some of those other little cones near the summit of the big mountain.
I have a question.
Finally,
We in Canada invented Hawaiian pizza, right?
Oh god, no.
Do the Hawaiians like Hawaiian pizza?
Come on, Fish, what kind of a question is that?
actually, it is. I have had Hawaiian pizza in Hawaii, and it kind of depends on the stuff. So they do put pineapple on pizza, but other people don't. And they have it with other things.
Got a definitive no coming from a person from Hawaii in the
Landon
chat.
Yeah.
I can't. That's not my fault. I did not show Landon.
Oh, okay.
So I will say here, and I think
my mistake.
back to the. I guess we can.
It's there for tourists. Yeah, that sounds right.
So I had there was a nice luau where they're baking the fish and the pig in a pit, with hot rocks and that sort of thing, and covered it over. And on the top, they then baked a pizza. Right, they poured the dough there and did a flash baking on the top of the fire pit, and they then and they had a pineapple and papaya on it, and then they put, for my particular case, bits of fish. So you had sort of fish and a little bit of a sauce that they made from various herbs, and made a pizza there.
Herb
So
sauce.
I have had Hawaiian pizza made by Hawaiians from Hawaiian ingredients from a cooking.
Which
thing.
would
So they said,
actually
"Why not?"
be like a foreign place making Hawaiian pizza, because Hawaiian pizza is Canadian. A Canadian invention.
Yes.
So if you want authentic Hawaiian pizza, you have to go to Canada. Does that make any sense to anybody? No, it shouldn't. I hope it doesn't. If it makes sense to you, what are you talking about?
So questions from the chat or
yeah, there's a question from Smitty that says, has Canada apologized formally for Hawaiian pizza yet? No, we're not sorry.
yes. Even
Short
though
answer.
I will point out that if you're not Canadian, you have to say trademark Canada if you say sorry.
Yes.
In the Canadian way.
Sorry, not sorry. Sorry.
Sorry, trademark Canada.
Hawaiian pizza was made by a Greek immigrant in Canada. So it's actually
God,
Greek.
here we go.
Oh, the layers.
There
Where is
we
it
go.
from? The etymology
used
of
to like-
Hawaiian pizza.
I used to like pineapple on pizza initially when I first started eating that kind of pizza, but now I just like, no, that's blasphemy. No.
I don't
that's-
hate it, but it has to be done right. If it's not done right, it tastes like garbo.
Yeah, you could say that, yeah. Yeah,
You gotta
but
get
nah,
it.
nah,
You
not
gotta get it done real at like a good place that uses fresh pineapple. Because
no.
if you get it from like pizza, it's just gonna be trash.
Carton
So again,
pineapple
describing
full
this
of sugar syrup.
Hawaiian pizza,
Mm,
a pizza made by Hawaiians in Hawaii during a cookout,
yeah.
and they had just covered the pit up, and they put and so there are hot rocks on the top, so they could
Oof.
pour the pizza dough out and flash it. Um, the 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 fish and other meats on there were tenderized by a bit of papaya, a little bit of guava.
Ooh.
They also had some. They
I'm
also had some. They had squeezed some kiwi
Barbecued pineapple
juice on it,
also.
and they took a fresh pineapple, I mean actual
Yeah.
pineapple, cut it and put pieces in it for there. But it was a tenderizing thing. Um,
I
that was
am
actually
hungry
quite good.
now. I'm so
Eh.
hungry now.
Now
I
everybody's
want
just talking
pizza.
about pizza. Does pineapple belong
I
on
want
pizza?
pizza.
Uh,
Right.
it may not be your preference, but this was probably an authentic Hawaiian pizza made by Hawaiians in Hawaii at a traditional law. Obviously, pizza is not the typical thing you would get in a in a pit, in a sort of law pit, but
There's a
But if you can
question.
bake something, you can, yeah, you can make it happen, isn't it? It
Sure,
is
yeah.
like that, isn't it?
Um, can you get it hot? It's cooked. Smitty also asked, in Canada, do they call the ham Canadian bacon on Hawaiian pizza? No, ham is something different. So there's ham,
Yeah.
there's pea meal bacon, which is Canadian bacon, and then there's bacon, which is like the bacon strips. So the bacon strips are the strips. The pea meal bacon, which is like a back bacon, but it's cut into like a
Slices.
wide.
Or stripes.
A lot of times you get it as like a blob. I get it as a blob and then cut it myself because it's cheaper and better that way. And then I can pick the thickness that I want it to be. But like a ham is like a different section, like a different like process differently. So those are all different things in Canada.
and if you talk about pork and bacon products, first of all, they are cooking a whole sort of feral pig in the pit. The
Feral
pigs
pig.
there
Okay,
are
not just
extremely
pig.
destructive,
Mm-hmm.
extremely destructive
Oh
to
yeah.
the environment, to the native species, and in fact, the National Park Service will pay you for killing pigs
We have it
in a
here
park, right?
locally. Locally, people, they don't get called out or anything for killing the wild pigs because they are a menace. They're a fucking menace.
What
And
is it, the
yeah.
radioactive pigs in like Midwestern America right now?
Oh
Sarah asked a
God.
question about volcanoes, so back on topic a little bit. How many
Sure.
cameras are normally become lava in a year? I think that would vary depending on which volcano you're asking about, and some volcanoes have very little like technology or very little like looks at them.
Correct.
I do believe Landon and Maanyaa are both particularly critical of White Island in New Zealand for not having
Yes.
enough
Oh yeah.
detection.
Oh yeah.
But if you want to talk about Pele in particular, Landon, do you think you can answer that one? Take a rough
She's the
estimate.
most
Yes.
surveilled, I guess.
Mm.
Certainly, the Hawaiian volcanoes are the most monitored there. So if we look at this grid, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16,
I didn't mean
17,
to take that
18,
off.
19, 20, 21, right? So there's 20 plus cameras around around the two most active of the
Pointed
three
at the
active volcanoes
volcanoes,
on the
yeah.
island. And they do set up ones that are in areas where it begins to be interesting. Once an eruption starts, then you kind of know where you bring your visual assets into the region, and so those assets get knocked out. So when, for example, the Holy Maunau lava pit eruptions were going, pre 2018, cameras would last maybe a year or so, depending upon how crumbly the edge was. When
the
lava
crust
was
broke off.
flowing, yeah, because you put it near the edge, looking down in, and then rock slides, and then camera goes. So those will last about a year or so. Other things are where when the lava lake was quite high, lava bombs, molten rock would fly up and hit the cameras.
So
Um,
I have a question around that. So yeah, looks like you do get a lot of technology. You are afforded a lot of technology to, to surveil Madam Pele. Has it been any time when there have been budget cuts? Like with NASA, right? They have had massive budget cuts in the past. Have you had to deal with budget cuts and go like, what the fuck, dude?
yeah.
Has that happened?
Yes. The USGS does not get much in the way of funding. Oftentimes, astronomers will retiring cameras give it to the USGS to go and have
That's so
sensors
nice.
for stuff because you're in astronomy where you're upgrading a camera, particularly in the infrared. So some of those thermal cameras and things were astronomy related, mid IR stuff that gave them the data. The USGS is one of those things where people that suffer from the political malady known as libertarianism try to stop it and say it should be privatized, right?
I like to think that we need to shift
God.
the meaning of libtard to be referring to libertarians as opposed to left-leaning people.
Yeah.
So
I vote for this. I make a motion. Do I have any eyes? Do I have any eyes in the chat?
Make a poll.
Make a poll. Maybe on the Unnamed Tavern we'll ask again.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So you kind of like fall under the radar. You don't appear on the radar for such kind of things. Where you're what do you say? What do you call? What do you like? People in the people in power or the representatives, right? The bureaucrats. Sorry, my brain. It's Saturday.
The pencil pushers.
Yeah, they
that
don't see that, and you escape, so you have you don't have those problems around budgets and stuff.
There was at a time some of the sycophants of the orange-haired dude were mad that the Mauna Loa atmospheric monitoring that's been having a continuous since the late 1950s, the rise of CO2 in the atmosphere, where that's a fact, solid data. They saw that as enabling so-called climate science, and so they clamped down, even though it was NOAA, the National Atmospheric Administration, that was doing it in conjunction with the USGS, but it all gets lumped into there. So occasionally they get problems. With the case of Hawaii, however, particularly the Hawaiians, really value this kind of service, and the most of the Hawaiians that live there work through the county's emergency response. In Hawaii, every island is a county.
Yeah.
Right. And the mayor of the county is like the head elected official, and those people on the county services are the ones that help provide information to the locals, as well as when there are catastrophes such as a fire or a lava flow, helping people accommodate that. There's been a very good working relationship between the volcano monitoring and the people that live there. There's a very big emphasis on saying, we are not going to tell you whether to stay or go. It's your decision.
Yeah.
But we will provide all this data, and all this data we saw is
you do with it what you choose to do with it. That's a policy that I have. I have a policy of like an open door policy. I do not care who you are, whether or not you have issues with me or issues with other people. If you want information about something or you want to know what I know about something, it's an open door policy. I don't care. I could care less if you told me my dog should die tomorrow. If you come to me and say, well, do you have this information? I'll be like, yeah, right here.
So that means
Ah,
Chesh giving you information. Don't go in her Twitter DMs and give her the paperwork for like closed cases that are not supposed to. Don't
That's
do
not
that.
me asking
Don't
for
do- no,
information.
don't.
That's
No, don't be doing
that
that.
sounds
No.
pretty spicy. But back
Spicy.
to right, the thing. We work also with people that are very technically inclined and are looking at the APIs. There's application interfaces for these for this data. What you're seeing, what I'm showing you, is essentially easily accessible data that's available on the web. But
All
there's raw
public.
data feed as well. And some people write their own apps to do monitoring of things. And then the dialogue includes, conversations where they ask about what about this, what about this, what about this, right? And some of it is educational, some of it is informative, where they say, "Did you notice blah blah blah? Or I see this trend. First, what might this mean?" And so there's been a really good, healthy relationship. Plus the fact that we try to make use of proper Hawaiian terms. We try to do our best in pronouncing them in the traditional way. And we also, for the vast majority of Hawaiians that live in Hawaii, know it's a bunch of volcanoes. But to refer to Madam Pele is a cultural sign of respect.
Yeah.
As one gentleman told me, you guys have your Easter Bunny and your Tooth Fairy. We have people like Madam Pele. Just give it to us, right? So it's a dialogue.
Don't be a dick.
And the term, yeah. But again, it's really nice. I've had really wonderful times going out to villages to talk about and show them. We're going to install, let's say, a new instrument in an area. We bring it around to people and show them the instrument and talk about what it's going to do. And then people want to know, okay, what's the thing on my cell phone that I can see what the data is, and there's an API, and can you give us a RESTful API? A whole bunch of things. They're actually quite interested in that. And then there's follow-up things where they say, hey, this sensor's offline. So you notice I showed you maintenance, right? We had to announce that these cameras are going down for maintenance. We didn't want people to say, all of a sudden, everything's offline, something happened, right? They become quite alarmed.
You do it in sections, isn't it? You do it in sections. You don't take everything offline at once, because that's not intelligent. If I might say, I don't want to say stupid. You want to have some information on hand.
But now's the time to do maintenance while it's not erupting. But you still have plenty of other sensors there, and you're getting ready for mobile units. Once the lava starts flowing, then you assign mobile units. One of the problems occurs, however, is getting network information out of that, and so the links, the data collection out of it is there. Another thing, with the rise of these cameras, has been that we've established, working with a company called Akamai, where people in the mainland don't have direct access to those cameras. They have access to a feed that's sent over. So there's a feed that's sent to North America. There's a feed that's sent to Japan. There's another feed that's sent
Japan, nice,
somewhere. Australia's over. The places that come there. So we take the camera data and the camera live feeds and export them to places that have the infrastructure, while the people on the island have direct access, right? So we don't want to have the network links saturated by people watching camera feeds.
That's a very good idea. That's a very good idea,
And we also don't rely on cell phone service, right? The cellular networks are not reliable. Cell service is not relevant on emergency
You can
cases
set your
anyway.
own repeaters and stuff, right? You don't need cellular service for the locals, especially.
Yeah.
You can just set up your own repeaters, and all you need is a signal being sent to the phone to access particular set of data. That's it, and it's done. Yeah.
And of course, during an actual eruption or lead up to eruption with lots of earthquakes and gases going out, So the repeaters fall down for
Oh
very
yeah,
good
of
reasons.
course.
And so you're building repair mesh networks that can repair, and sometimes it's a matter of somebody changing the way that data gets out, um,
Yeah.
is part of the thing. And then of course, we make use of Hawaiians that are wanting to volunteer, to do the rough thing of, because there's no roads there, and oftentimes you're in an area where you can't even get a good helicopter. There's no helicopter landing spot. So having
Yeah.
Hawaiians that are willing to carry equipment over very rough terrain, right?
Yeah.
And you saw those rocks. It is extraordinarily difficult to walk over that terrain. The
Oh
rock is
yeah.
very
I
sharp. Its surface is glass. It's very slick. There's very knife edge things, and also it's very biologically active. So it's
damn.
a big giant petri dish. And to go a little distance, you have to go up, down, up, down, up, down, being careful walking over what effectively is glass. So the Hawaiians who do it well take pride
Y-
in taking stuff there and back out. So they also are quite active, involved in the process.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Yeah. Um, there was another question that came in. So after every eruption, right? And evacuation
Mhm.
that might happen due to eruption, is there a like do the locals do a review of some sorts, like come together and say, okay, what went right and what went wrong?
Yes, and as well
Are
as
you part of
trying to
that?
say, yeah. I mean, we've done stuff in terms of messaging afterwards to say
Okay.
what happened, because uh, now frequently the locals that know what they're doing are not there at the time of the eruption. The problem occurs what they call the time sharing. I'll use a pejorative term, the howlies. Um, they're essentially, it's the idiots from the mainland coming over,
Oh,
wanting to protect their investments in some stupid timeshare that get into trouble, right?
yeah.
So very frequently, the people who are watching this stuff are out of there before the eruption starts, right? Because again, there's tails. Now it's not always the case. You can get surprised, right? And so there is a whole big emergency network, both in terms of digital communication and people, right? So when let's say for example in that region, the East West Zone, um, if something happened, well, there isn't really people living there because no one would be that stupid to live in that region. But
Hmm.
if someone's going to the area, people know who's going, where they're going, when they expect it back, and if they're not found, well,
There's a
do a search for it.
tracking system and a lone workers system that tracks lone workers or something like that, or people who are going in a
Yes,
particular region, just like when you do that when you're going in confined spaces and stuff. So yeah, 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 I see that.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's good.
I remember, there's also the notion of people that live in the region that might be downwind, right? When they see the trade winds. Let's say you have a major gas outbreak in the summit area, right? And normally the gases are the trade winds would send it to the south, would be to the southwest, and but a storm comes by and winds flip over, and now it's, let's say, going to the east.
Yeah, you have to
Well,
be
they
careful about
know
that too. Yeah.
downwind
Yeah.
who is there, and there's a whole big objective on it that is people go to houses of elders and find out, are they okay. There's a
Yeah.
whole big system that's there, because it's considered
Like a
to
community
be a
system, yeah.
failure of the village if somebody who is not not able to care for
They got
themselves
more
is not
family
care of them.
than Fast and the Furious. Let's fucking
Oh
go.
God. So yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
when I was working in Christchurch, our Christchurch site that has ammonia for refrigeration, obviously. So they have
Mhm.
their own rescue team. They have their own emergency rescue team, and they do come up with not scenarios, but yeah, protocols to what to do when the wind is blowing in certain direction. Right? You can see the weather patterns, annually, and you can kind of depict at this time of the year the wind will be blowing in this direction or something like that. So they come up with different muster points and different escape routes and and where the animals, which direction the animals will go, and yada yada yada. So yeah, so that's why I'm interested, like, because it's, if there's a review and what are the processes behind. So it's good to know that the community comes together and looks after everyone, except few morons who are like, yeah, I know better than you, the outsiders who come in and don't want to listen to the
Yeah.
locals. Yeah.
How do you guys feel?
But
Side
there's a
note.
burden.
I have a quick
Go ahead.
question. How do you guys feel about that guy who was the flat earther who tried to build his own rocket and then shot himself up and blew up?
Yeah, I think he's a quintessential Darwin Award winner.
Oh, fair enough.
So another thing as well, in there's a common Polynesian culture about hospitality to visitors, even the ones that are misbehaving.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's something
Treat them like children, 3-year-olds who keep escaping.
Well, they realize. I think in some ways there's a little bit of thing like these people don't understand. They don't know what they don't know. But it's not a condescending thing. It is you don't have our knowledge and our support network, so we need to look out for you. Now I would say, for example, the Maori in New Zealand it's a wonderful culture, and if you can show that you're not a jerk and you get invited to some of their events, it's actually quite wonderful, right? One of my favorite last times I was there on Guy Fawkes Day, where the Maoris were moaning the fact that Guy Fawkes was not successful. In a comedic way, they're rooting for Guy Fawkes blowing up Parliament,
having a goof.
Because the Maoris have had an issue with the former United Kingdom for a while, but it's done. It's not done in a hateful thing. It's done in a let's have a bonfire in celebration of the failed attempt, and in jest, right? But
someone
again,
tried.
Wonderful dancing,
history was
food,
made.
singing, and stuff, and of course. And there's things that they have a particular they have their alcohols that they use, but then there's somebody around saying, oh, you're not from our culture, let's make sure you are safe, right? And so when things was winding up, there are people who came and said to me, do you have somebody to drive you back to a place? And
that's a big thing here.
Go ahead.
When I remember when I go to like the dinners and stuff that's organized by around Christmas and New Year stuff, companies, they organize these dinners for the whole you can say the admin staff for on the site, and that's a big thing. At the end of the day, if you have had even one glass of wine, they'll like, we are calling a taxi for you, you're not driving home, or someone else is driving you back home and dropping you off. So it's that's a big thing here, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. It's
Yeah. And I was there. I was about to have a heart valve repair, so they knew I was also in a sensitive state. But they drove me back, and go back. Of course, it was not just driving back, but it was like a whole big let's have fun driving back sort of thing. By the time I arrived at the hotel, they had already contacted the hotel staff, got access to my room. Get in a room. They laid a whole bunch of fruits and other veggie things inside the room. They had this. It had this scented candles there. So you walk in and there's a nice place to say, hey, well, thank you very much. They made sure it was back.
They're like, again, you ain't seen hospitality yet, sir.
And it was really quite, it was quite above and beyond. And again, this is part of the Polynesian culture of kindness to visitors and strangers.
Yeah, it's just like, don't be a dick and you will be treated with respect. You want to act like a know-it-all dick, then they'll be like, they will be savage. They will be savage, and you won't know when you have been ostracized. Like, don't be a dick. As simple as that.
Yes.
Be respectful.
Yes.
It's not that hard. It's the same rules as my Discord. Just don't be a dick.
right? Yeah.
And so again, for example, my work with the volcano and sort of stuff. Again, it's interesting because again, a lot of the words about describing volcanoes are very similar in Maori as it is in Hawaii, and that kind of conversation, as well as I had a couple of people from the Big Island send messages off to there saying, "Hey, this person is very helpful. Please, please be kind to them." So good stuff,
Oh,
right?
that's so
I think it's
nice.
something to, there. So at that point, I want to go back. I do want to go back to the New Zealand, particularly the North Island, where we have lots of nice volcanoes and wiggly stuff.
Yeah. Next time you're coming
there.
to New Zealand, we are meeting. I don't give a shit if I have to spend like $300
Yes.
on a ticket. I don't give a shit. We are meeting. Yeah.
Yes.
Even for 2 hours, we're meeting.
There is the 2028 eclipse that goes across Australia, and it's in July. And so my thought would be to also do a stop off and see the Kiwis at the time. So. Hey, other questions?
Our next, there was a comment from Katina. There's not really too many questions in here, but there's a comment from Katina. It says, funny how so many cultures across the world are big on hospitality, but visitors don't appreciate it by acting like an asshole in turn. Yeah, that happens a lot. Anyway, yeah, I think that's it for our show today. We went live for an hour and a half. Good job, everybody. Thank you for coming. We are live next time on Monday, because Monday is Rum and Coke night.
Okay.
Do you want to go into the
predictions?
Oh yeah, we gotta do predictions.
Yeah.
I forgot. Sorry, predictions. Ignore me.
Oh,
go on. Duh. Don't mind me.
Right.
I've just gotten lost in the
I found
sauce.
one of the other webcams. This is much more Hawaii.
Hey, very greenery.
Yes.
All right, Landon, what you got?
So should we first of all go over what the predictions were last time?
Oh yeah, we can do that. Yep. All right. So last time's predictions. Chesh. A while before we see an eruption, gonna see the earthquakes shifting before they start happening around another area or chamber. Growing and shrinking as it fills out the chambers. I was like, my prediction was that the magma is going down the main spine. Landon was like, Kilauea by next show will not erupt. Yeah, that's the summit will continue to expand. Mild amount of earthquakes around the southwestern zone. Very low sulfur dioxide rates. Yes, it's come down to 50 tons a day. Deflation and inflation events will occur every couple of days. Oh my God, Landon, you're so on point. And will continue. No eruption, few quakes, summit continuing to expand, and low levels of sulfur dioxide. And April said 1 big quake and some minor ones, no eruption. Czar said the giant aliens come to get their magma-baked ice cream cone. I noted that also.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, Landon was on point. Like, it's like, oof.
Hey.
Landon's taking advantage of his relationship with Madam Pele. That's not fair.
She was kind to me this time, but made sure I didn't get 100%. So what do you think is going to happen next?
I'm kind of expecting to see the same kind of trend. I don't think that, given the earthquakes that we see going on and the way the tilt meter's looking, I suspect that we're gonna keep seeing it on the move. So I don't think it's settled yet. And so until it settles, it's not gonna start filling the space up. And until it starts filling that space up, we're not gonna see anything come out. That's my prediction.
Well reasoned.
Short and sweet, baby.
Maanyaa?
The way I like it. The way I like my men. Let's go.
Okay. So for me, it's yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with Chesh there. For the first time in my life, I'm not going to
What?
see a kaboom or something like that.
Ah.
Yeah. So I agree with
It's not
Chesh
the
that
kaboom.
as
There's
long as these
supposed to be an
earthquakes,
earth-shattering kaboom.
yeah, that has been me for the last like so many months. But Madam Pele is like, no, child, no, no. um, so I agree with Chesh. As long as we have these like earthquakes and stuff, we kind of know that the lava is on the move and has space to move. It's when these earthquakes become less frequent, then you will start thinking, okay, what's happening there? So yeah, so I agree with Chesh on that. Yep.
What about the chat? Any predictions from there? People, have they put out their predictions?
I see a prediction that says just more rumbling.
Who's that?
Who is that?
That is from Katina. Katina's saying more rumbling.
Katina.
April says rumbles and outgassing. So more rumbling and outgassing. So we've got a continuation of rumblings, and we've got an increase in rumblings and outgassing.
That was April, right? Okay, so my prediction between now and next time is no eruption. We will have intermittent swarms of earthquakes. By intermittent, I mean that, like, we had 7 days of stuff or of quakes. They die down, and then magma moves again, right? So we'll have this period, bursts of intervals of bursts of earthquakes followed by quiet periods. I'm also predicting, again, almost no detectable gas outflow. I think the tilt meters will show deflation inflation events every couple of days, where the magnitude of the DI event is a microradian or two or more, a microradian plus, right? But I think it won't, again, big thing, it won't erupt. There won't be much in the way of gas output. There will be periods of earthquake bursts. It will be interesting. That's not a prediction, but it'll be interesting to see if you start seeing the east-west zone earthquake bursts traveling down that spine. If you start seeing, rather than, because remember it's in that local region near the summit right now. If you see it extending,
zone?
that's going to tell you that the east-west zone.
Okay,
The
gotcha.
east right now. Remember that picture we saw. Again, to be clear, go do a toggle screen sharing. I want to show here. This is the east rift zone here where these quakes are. If we see this extent moving down the spine, that's going to be a pretty big sign that magma is going to move, because it seems to be easier for magma to get from the summit down the east rift zone. But it wouldn't surprise me if there were intermittent intrusions here. The thing that's going to watch is this end of the east rift zone, is this going to stop, or will this begin to travel down the road? Again, not a prediction, but that's to watch for, to see what happens. But there'll be periods of unrest like this. My predictions of periods of unrest with earthquakes, followed by periods of quiet. And DI events are going to be more of the same kind of thing. Now, I want to point out here, this is what the service is asking. They're saying, what can we expect? Because it'll say, hey, we got all this stuff. I don't know. Do you want to, Chesh?
Yeah.
Do you want me to
You want me to
condense
make
it down,
it bigger?
or
You want this?
yeah? So this is what they're
Ooh,
predicting.
fancy.
Because people are asking, saying, "Hey, you got all these earthquakes going on. It was going southwest, but it stopped. Now it's going east." They say it's not. So it's not possible to forecast exact outcome of the activity based upon a pattern of past
Can we
activity
put
in the
that in the
upper east
live
rift
chat,
zone.
the link?
Here, can I put it in? Let me transfer over
Live chat.
here. I don't have live chat access to this thing.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. I got it.
Okay, but I put it over this other spot here.
I got it. It's in there.
So let's go back to this stuff. It's not possible to forecast the exact outcome of this activity based upon a pattern of past activity in the upper east rift zone. The current activity is much more likely to result in an intrusion rather than an eruption. So that would say you would see earthquakes, you would see tilt meter deformation. However, future changes in the location on rest and a potential eruption could unfold quickly in days to hours. So again, talk about that you saw the end spot where those earthquakes stop, where the magma hasn't forced its way in. If that begins to move down the road, things will change. So what could happen? Several things could happen in the incoming days to weeks. Magma continues to accumulate in the reservoir underneath Kilwith Summit. Earthquakes and ground formation continue at varying rates, but no eruption occurs. Another one is magma continues to accumulate in reservoirs beneath eruption, resulting in magma moving into a new area via a dike intrusion, like it did in the southwest zone for a while, like it's doing in the east rift right now. This could occur to the southeast, the region of elevated activity. It could occur to the southwest. In this scenario, would expect to see accelerated rates of ground deformation, DI events, earthquakes in the direction that the thing goes. So basically, the magma's on a move. We'll see the earthquakes and the tilt meter responding. Another one is the magma continues to accumulate in the summer region with the eventual eruption inside the caldera, similar to recent eruptions like the last 3 or so. The scenario would see signs of magma reservoir rapidly pressurizing prior to accelerated ground formation rates and earthquakes beneath the caldera. So what this would say is that the magma breaks through basically now the rock cap. It used to be the lava lake, and we would see earthquakes underneath the summit. We'd see gas levels begin to rise. The final thing is magma continues to accumulate between the Kilwith Summit region with an eventual eruption outside the caldera in upper bounds of one of the rift zones. In this scenario, we'd expect to see earthquake locations migrating away from the caldera, again, followed by accelerated ground rates and formation and earthquakes 1 to 2 hours before the lava reaches the surface. So those are the basics. In short, same thing as before, or the zone of earthquakes extends down the road to the magma can't push down the other rift zone and comes up the top, or it breaks open in those regions, because those areas where all those earthquakes, the rock is cracking, becomes more fragile, and you get an eruption in that spot. Those are sort of the areas.
Yeah.
Could happen. All right.
Oh. Let's leave while Maanya's gone.
Well, I guess the question is yes.
Yeah, Shill, what are you working on next, Landon?
Well, I'm certainly doing a lot of work with the International Obfuscated Secret Contest, getting that the tools ready. We had some wonderful work with some wonderful web developers to help with the site. We found a web developer in Japan that gave some really good help. I have in that sense, I have a certain artist who is in the process of making some dancing bears.
Wink. You're muted, Maanyaa.
We have also coming up on on May 18th, which is Mount St. Helens Day. We have the Before Earth episode 4, where we just talked about stellar evolution and moved up period around 4 to 5 billion years ago, and we're going to talk about this time how solar systems form, and specifically what we know about the formation of our solar system, and eventually the formation of the Earth-Moon system. So that's going to be on May 18th at 3:30 p.m. Pacific. For there. So that is there. We also have don't we have an unnamed tavern coming up?
Well, we do have a tavern coming up. The tavern will be on Wednesday next week, I believe, is our microbrew.
Yes.
That is, let me just open this up in a different spot just so I can read this a little bit more succinctly for people, because I'm a nice guy like that. So coming up, we have the Rubbing Coconut is on Monday evening, so you can join us for that if you're interested. I'll be sending out links about an hour to half an hour beforehand. We have an Unnamed Tavern microbrew where Oppie's coming on. He's going to talk to us about scientism, and that'll be a little bit philosophy-esque, and that is on May 8th. What time is that at, actually? That it's going to be, I believe, it's 19:30, so that is 7:30?
It's 7:30 p.m., which is 16:30 or 4:30 p.m. Pacific.
Then there is going to be a debate hub coming up, and the next Unnamed Tavern will be on the 25th.
Yes,
hey.
that is true. And who knows? Maybe we will have something to talk about. I don't know. The Earth could be decided to just chill out, and they'll say, nothing to do, and we'll just sit around and drink.
If you're curious and you're worried about you're gonna miss anything, just like and subscribe and hit the bell. You can also just go to like the main page, like the front page of the channel, and those things will be listed in upcoming live streams. Yes.
So the good stuff, big stuff there. I imagine that the world will continue on its drama quest, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's it for the set. I really appreciate this opportunity to interrupt DFF for showing for us to show how little we understand Madam Pele.
We are also going to be I'm also live on Twitch doing art and doing like commentary stuff. Those videos premiere on Sundays like afternoons, not super late. But you can vote which one you want to go live on YouTube. Otherwise, they're available for members. So if you want to join membership, super cheap, but you don't have to if you don't want to. If you'd rather catch them live, you can catch them on the Twitch channel, which is linked down below. I'm live at 7 a.m. Eastern time for 4 to 6 hours, depending on the day.
It's fun.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
You get to watch her create art and commentary, and then sometime up in the corner, there is sort of mini DFFs.
Yeah. Yes. All right, Maanyaa, you up to anything?
I am, but I don't want to make any promises. Just yeah.
She's promising not to make promises.
Hey, that's not gonna go well. All right. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you guys on Monday, and if you're interested in catching the premiere, I don't know which one it's gonna be, but you can vote on that on the community tab about which one you want it to be, and I'll see you in the side chat on Sunday. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Cheers, everyone.
Thank you.